She went from the boy's death to her ability.
Like I am a real live human being.
I think she said she a man.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to post that video of her. She forced my hand for real.
She said she watched with her own eyes, and she did not stop it. Lashina Weekly, FBG Duck's mother, the woman who has been in courtrooms and on camera and on every platform fighting for her son's justice, sat down in a documented interview and allegedly described in detail watching King Von's sister Kayla get physically assaulted, not hearing about it later, not seeing a clip after the fact, allegedly watching it happen in real time, and reportedly doing nothing to stop it. Now ask yourself this. If you already knew that FBG Duck's mom and King Von's sister had beef, the social media clashes, the subliminal posts, the back and forth that the blogs covered in pieces but never fully assembled, did you know that underneath all of that public noise there was allegedly a moment this personal, this physical, and this deliberately left unaddressed? Did you know that Kayla allegedly found out what Mama Duck said in that interview and reportedly responded in a way that allegedly crossed every line that had previously been considered uncrossable in this situation? Because the response that Kayla allegedly delivered did not just target FBG Duck. She allegedly went after Tuka too. Both names. Both dead. Both sacred to their respective sides of Chicago. In one single move that reportedly sent the entire community into a spiral that the blogs have only scratched the surface of.
Y'all hear what it's about. Clout and money. That's why she keep posting this. She trying to get clout so she can start up her movement and get fake ass rich. Your son when he... How you think you gonna get rich? Your son when he get rich.
And here's the part that allegedly nobody was supposed to connect until right now. The timeline of when Mama Duck made that statement and when Kayla responded and what allegedly happened between those two moments tells a story that is reportedly bigger than either of them individually. Do not go anywhere. This is the story Chicago allegedly tried to bury under the legal headlines. To understand why what Lashina Weekly allegedly said in that no-jumper interview hit the way it hit, you have to understand the specific weight that Kayla carries in the context of the Von Duck beef. Kayla is not a peripheral figure. She is not someone who got pulled into this story accidentally. Kayla King Von's sister, a Chicago woman who grew up in the same Parkway Gardens environment that shaped her brother into the artist and the street figure that the world came to know, has been one of the most vocal, most consistent, and most publicly present defenders of King Von's legacy since the day he was shot and killed in Atlanta on November 6, 2020. She did not step back when the blogs came for Von's name. She did not stay quiet when the lawsuits were filed. She has been in every conversation on every platform, with every person who has had something to say about her brother, and she has consistently showed up in a way that sources close to the Chicago community describe as, quote, riding harder for Von than almost anyone else in his circle.
You said if Von would have never got released from jail, a lot of people would still be alive. So do you feel like a lot of...
No, I didn't say that. I say a lot of people ain't while he was in jail. Like, wasn't nobody in as long as he was in jail.
I bet I got more bodies than everybody on here.
That context matters. Because what Lashina Weekly allegedly said about Kayla in the no-jumper interview with Adam 22 was not said about a stranger. It was not said about a public figure at a safe distance. It was said about a woman whose entire public identity is built on loyalty to a dead man who was allegedly on the opposite side of the deadliest beef in recent Chicago drill history. The no-jumper interview, which is documented, publicly available, and has accumulated over 220,000 views on the channel, had Mama Duck sitting down and discussing, among other things, the relationship between the families in the aftermath of Von's death and Duck's murder. And in the middle of that conversation, allegedly, Mama Duck described a specific incident involving Kayla and a man named Lil J. A physical incident. An assault. And according to what was documented in that interview, Mama Duck allegedly said she was present. That she saw what happened to Kayla That she watched Lil J physically assault Von's sister.
Von was given the opportunity to get his family out of anything that would stop them from being anything but great. And I feel like he just fumbled the ball. Like he was the bag. Like there's no way you don't protect the bag. There's no way that you don't make sure the bag ain't secured. Like that whole situation with that baby is real.
The specific details of what Mama Duck allegedly said about that incident, the framing, the tone, the way she reportedly described what she witnessed, are what allegedly turned a documented interview into something that sources close to Caleb describe as, quote, the most disrespectful thing that has ever been said about her publicly. Because there is a difference between saying you were present when something happened and allegedly describing it in a way that suggests you did not feel moved to stop it. And according to people allegedly close to Caleb who reportedly heard that interview, the way Mama Duck allegedly talked about watching Caleb get stomped was not the language of a witness who felt helpless. It was allegedly the language of someone who, reportedly, did not consider Caleb's safety to be her concern. Think about what that means for a second. Because this is not just an interpersonal conflict between two women from opposing sides of a rap beef. This is allegedly a grown woman, a public figure, a mother who has positioned herself as a voice of justice and accountability, allegedly sitting in a documented interview and describing watching a younger woman get physically attacked and allegedly not helping her. Stay right here because it gets worse. According to sources allegedly close to Caleb's inner circle, when that interview clip started circulating on social media and making its way through Chicago's online community, the reaction from people close to Vaughn's family was reportedly immediate and reportedly visceral. Sources claim that people in Caleb's circle were allegedly sending her the clip before she had even seen it herself, that she allegedly found out about what Mama Duck said the same way most people find out about things in 2025, through a text message with a link and a string of emojis that told her everything she needed to know about what was on the other side of that tap.
I understand that he might answer my prayers, probably not when I want him to, but they get answered. And I said, if my son gotta sell his souls, I hope he never gets saved. That was in 2014. 2016, Duck came to me and said, if I'm not...
Interview 2:40/3:0:4. Because Caleb's alleged reaction to that clip was reportedly not the calm, measured, legally careful kind of response that people close to her had apparently been encouraging her to maintain throughout the entire FBG Duck lawsuit situation. Reportedly, according to sources close to her circle, the Mama Duck interview allegedly broke something open in Caleb that the lawsuit filings and the social media noise had not broken. Because the lawsuit was about Vaughn. The streets were safer comment was about Vaughn. But allegedly watching her get physically assaulted and describing it publicly and apparently without remorse. That was about Caleb herself. That was personal in a way that reportedly hit differently than anything that had come before it. According to insiders allegedly close to the situation, Caleb reportedly went on social media and addressed Mama Duck directly. Not through a statement. Not through an intermediary. Directly. And according to sources close to people who allegedly saw those posts in real time before any of them were reportedly deleted or archived, what Caleb allegedly said was not just a response to the stomping admission. It was allegedly a full, comprehensive, reportedly scorched earth reaction that included names and details that sources claim were, quote, things you don't say if you're trying to keep this at a certain level. She allegedly dissed FBG Duck by name. And here is what they allegedly did not want you to find out. She allegedly did not stop there. According to sources close to people who were allegedly watching her social media in real time, Caleb reportedly also allegedly referenced Tuka. For those who need context, Tuka, real name Shaquon Thomas, is a figure whose name has allegedly been used in Chicago drill music as a reference point for years, on both sides of multiple beefs, in ways that are considered by many in the community to be among the most extreme forms of disrespect that can be directed at any faction. The fact that Caleb allegedly invoked that name, in direct response to Mama Duck's interview, allegedly signals a level of escalation that sources close to the Chicago community reportedly describe as, quote, the kind of thing that does not get forgotten. And the question that was allegedly sitting in the air after those posts went up, a question that reportedly nobody in either camp was publicly willing to answer, is whether Mama Duck knew, when she sat down in that no-jumper interview and described watching Caleb get stomped, that this was going to be the response. Whether she allegedly anticipated it. Whether allegedly, according to sources close to people familiar with both camps, she wanted it. Because that alleged motivation, if true, reframes everything about why that interview went the direction it went. The moment Kayla B allegedly invoked those names, the moment she allegedly went from defending Vaughn's legacy to allegedly going on offense against Duck and Tuka simultaneously, is allegedly the moment that sources close to Chicago's drill community describe as the point of no return in this particular chapter of the story. Because up until that point, the conflict between Mama Duck and Kayla B had allegedly been operating at a level that, while personal and while public, had reportedly stayed within a certain range. Lawsuit allegations, social media clashes, interview statements. The kind of conflict that is painful and public, but that allegedly exists within a framework that both sides can theoretically navigate with lawyers and PR and careful wording. The Tuka reference allegedly blew that framework apart. And reportedly, according to sources close to multiple people who were allegedly watching the situation unfold in real time, the reaction from FBG Duck's side of the community was immediate, and it was allegedly not calm. Sources close to people allegedly connected to Duck's circle claim that the Tuka reference specifically was reportedly the detail that crossed a line that the lawsuit and the public beef and every interview clip combined had not crossed. Because allegedly, in the specific cultural and community context of Chicago's South Side drill scene, invoking Tuka's name in a diss is not a rhetorical move. It is allegedly a statement about the most raw and painful kind of loss, the kind that reportedly does not get addressed with words alone. But here is where it gets interesting in ways that allegedly go beyond just the community reaction. Because Kayla B, according to sources close to her circle, was reportedly not acting without awareness of what she was allegedly doing. Sources allegedly close to her team claim that her social media response was not a momentary crash out, not the kind of impulsive livestream moment that gets deleted and apologized for the next morning. According to insiders close to the situation, Kayla B allegedly knew exactly what names she was invoking and allegedly made a deliberate decision to invoke them anyway. And the reason, reportedly according to sources close to her, was allegedly specific. Allegedly, Kayla B reportedly felt that Mama Duck's interview admission, watching her get physically assaulted and describing it publicly with what sources close to Kayla B characterize as alleged amusement, had allegedly forfeited whatever level of restraint Kayla B had previously been maintaining out of respect for the grief on the other side. Word on the street is that Kayla B allegedly told people close to her, quote, she laughed about it. She sat on camera and laughed about watching me get jumped. I'm supposed to keep quiet about that. Stay right here because it gets worse. Because FBG Duck's mother reportedly did not stay silent in the aftermath of Kayla B's alleged response. According to multiple sources and documented social media activity from the period following Kayla B's posts, Mama Duck allegedly went off on Kayla B in a way that sources close to Vaughn's family describe as, quote, everything she had been holding back finally coming out at once. The FBG Duck mom versus Kayla B social media exchange, documented across multiple platforms and covered by entertainment outlets including clips that were archived before they were deleted, allegedly escalated in a matter of hours from a one-sided interview admission to a full bilateral public confrontation that reportedly had every corner of Chicago's online community picking sides and posting reactions. Now this is the part that nobody is talking about. The coordinated nature of how this escalation allegedly unfolded is, according to sources allegedly familiar with how social media beef cycles work in the Chicago community, reportedly not entirely organic. According to insiders allegedly close to both camps, the timing of specific clips being resurfaced and specific interviews being recirculated in the period immediately before and after this exchange was reportedly not accidental. Sources allegedly close to people who follow the Chicago drill social media ecosystem claim that there were allegedly accounts, blog accounts, fan accounts, allegedly accounts with connections to specific camps, that were reportedly amplifying specific moments in a specific sequence that allegedly served a specific narrative purpose. In other words, allegedly, this was not just two women reacting to each other in real time. According to sources close to the situation, the escalation was reportedly being allegedly assisted by people on both sides who had allegedly decided that the beef needed to be public, needed to be loud, and needed to reach maximum audience before certain legal and media developments that were allegedly coming down the pipeline. And here is what they allegedly did not want you to find out. The FBG Duck civil lawsuit, the 229-page filing in Cook County Court naming King Von's estate, Lil Durk, Sony Music, Interscope, and others, was reportedly going through a significant legal development during almost exactly the same period that the Mama Duck and Kayla B public exchange was reaching its peak intensity. Kayla B, according to sources close to Vaughn's family's legal situation, had allegedly recently made a public statement that the lawsuit had been dismissed, a statement that FBG Duck's mother and her legal team allegedly pushed back against hard, maintaining that the case was ongoing and that any characterization of a full dismissal was misleading. And allegedly, according to sources close to people familiar with both the legal and personal sides of the situation, the public beef between Mama Duck and Kayla B was allegedly not disconnected from the legal narrative battle that was happening simultaneously. The no-jumper interview where Mama Duck allegedly described watching Kayla B get stomped was not, allegedly, a random conversation. According to sources close to people familiar with the timeline of that interview and its release, it was allegedly recorded and released at a specific point in the legal saga when the FBG Duck family's legal team was reportedly trying to maintain maximum public sympathy and maximum media attention on their narrative. And allegedly, according to insiders close to the situation, having Kayla B react the way she allegedly reacted, going nuclear, invoking the names she allegedly invoked, giving the blogs exactly the explosive content they needed to generate maximum engagement, was reportedly, according to certain sources close to both camps, not entirely an unwanted outcome from Mama Duck's perspective. Because every time Kayla B allegedly crossed a line publicly, it allegedly reinforced a specific narrative about the character and the conduct of the people on Vaughn's side of the story. And allegedly, in the context of a civil lawsuit that was reportedly trying to establish certain things about certain people's character and conduct, that narrative allegedly had value that went beyond just social media drama. Whether Mama Duck allegedly calculated that outcome or whether it was allegedly a consequence she welcomed after the fact, nobody reportedly knows for certain. But the pattern, according to sources allegedly close to multiple people in this situation, is reportedly too consistent to be entirely coincidental. Kayla B's alleged nuclear response, the FBG Duck diss, the Tuka reference, the full social media confrontation with Mama Duck, did not happen in a vacuum. It allegedly happened in the context of years of accumulated grief, years of allegedly watching her brother's legacy get legally characterized and publicly framed in ways that she reportedly felt were unjust and were allegedly deliberately designed to serve other people's narratives. And understanding that context is allegedly what separates this story from just another social media beef and makes it allegedly one of the most layered and most significant public conflicts in the recent history of Chicago's drill community. Because Kayla B, according to people who allegedly know her personally and who have allegedly been close to her throughout the post-Vaughn years, is not a person who allegedly moves without thought. She is reportedly not the kind of person who allegedly crashes out impulsively for entertainment value. Sources close to her circle consistently describe her as, quote, someone who knows exactly what she is doing and why she is doing it, and allegedly, that description of her character makes the alleged nuclear response to Mama Duck's interview admission significantly more significant than if it had come from someone who was just allegedly reacting emotionally. But here is where it gets interesting in ways that allegedly go deeper than just the individual confrontation. The specific names that Kayla B allegedly invoked in her response, FBG Duck and Tuka, represent, in the context of Chicago's specific community geography and history, two of the most loaded references in the entire ecosystem of the South Side drill beef structure. FBG Duck was allegedly killed in 2020 in a murder that 6 block members were convicted of in federal court. Tuka, Shaquon Thomas, was a young man whose death allegedly became one of the most referenced and most controversial subjects in Chicago drill music for years before either Vaughn or Duck had ever released a commercial record. Invoking both names in the same response is allegedly, according to sources close to Chicago community observers who follow this space closely, not a double diss. It is allegedly a statement about the entire history of the conflict, a way of allegedly saying that the grief and the anger goes back further and runs deeper than any one lawsuit or any one interview or any one public statement. And Mama Duck, according to sources close to people who were allegedly in contact with her circle in the aftermath of Kayla B's response, reportedly understood exactly what Kayla B was allegedly doing by invoking those names. Allegedly, according to insiders close to the situation, Mama Duck's reaction internally was reportedly not shock. It was reportedly something that sources close to her describe as, quote, confirmation. As if Kayla B's alleged nuclear response had allegedly confirmed something that Mama Duck had reportedly believed for a long time about the character of the people on Vaughn's side of the situation. Stay right here because it gets worse. Because the public confrontation between these two women, as explosive and as documented as it allegedly was, is reportedly only one dimension of a significantly larger story that sources close to both camps claim is allegedly still actively unfolding. According to insiders allegedly familiar with both the personal and the legal dimensions of the situation, the aftermath of the Mama Duck interview and the Kayla B nuclear response allegedly produced consequences that went beyond social media posts and viral clips. Sources close to Vaughn's family's legal advisors allegedly claim that certain statements made publicly during this period, specific alleged references and specific alleged characterizations, were reportedly being documented by people on both sides for potential use in legal proceedings that were either ongoing or allegedly being contemplated. This is the part that nobody is talking about. Because in the context of an ongoing civil lawsuit where character, conduct, and public statements are allegedly relevant to how the case is being framed in the court of public opinion, if not in actual court proceedings, every social media post, every alleged diss, every allegedly inflammatory reference that either side makes publicly is reportedly being watched by more than just fans and bloggers. Allegedly, according to sources close to legal observers who are following both the FBG Duck civil case and its various related developments, the public behavior of people adjacent to both estates is reportedly part of a larger pattern that lawyers on both sides are allegedly paying attention to. And here is what they allegedly did not want you to find out. According to sources allegedly close to people with insight into both camps, there are reportedly private conversations happening between people on both sides of this conflict. Conversations that are allegedly not public, allegedly not on social media, and allegedly not in any blog or any interview, about whether the level of public escalation that this beef has reached is allegedly serving anyone's actual interests. Whether the Tucker references and the social media wars and the viral interview clips are allegedly doing anything except generating content for platforms that profit from pain while the families on both sides allegedly continue to grieve in ways that none of the engagement metrics can capture. Now here is the twist that reframes the entire series of events you have been watching. The most significant thing about the Mama Duck and Kayla B conflict is allegedly not what either of them said publicly. It is allegedly what neither of them has said. Because underneath the lawsuit and the interview admission and the nuclear response and the social media wars, there is allegedly a conversation that sources close to both families claim has been attempted and allegedly failed more than once. A conversation about whether two women who both lost people they loved to the same cycle of violence in the same city are allegedly capable of existing in a space that is not defined entirely by the conflict between their dead relatives. That conversation, allegedly, has reportedly been attempted through intermediaries on at least 2 separate occasions, according to sources close to both family circles. And allegedly, on both occasions, it reportedly fell apart not because of hatred but because of something allegedly more complicated. Because the legal situation, the media attention, the community expectations, and the allegedly enormous financial and narrative stakes involved in the FBG Duck civil lawsuit and King Vaughn's estate reportedly make any private peace allegedly impossible to maintain without it becoming public. And allegedly, as soon as it becomes public, it allegedly stops being peace and starts being content. And Kayla B, according to sources allegedly close to her inner circle, reportedly knows this. And allegedly, Lashina Weekly reportedly knows this too. Which is allegedly why the question that this entire story has been building toward, the question that neither woman has publicly answered and that allegedly nobody in their respective circles is willing to answer on their behalf, is this one. If the cameras were off, if the lawsuit was settled, if the blogs moved on to the next story and the community stopped watching, would Kayla B and Mama Duck allegedly be capable of finding a version of this situation that does not require one of them to be the villain? Because allegedly, according to sources close to both sides, the answer to that question is reportedly more complicated than either camp would want their respective supporters to know. And that allegedly is the most dangerous piece of information in this entire story. This story is not over. Not even close. Because there are allegedly at least 2 things happening right now that the blogs have not connected to this narrative yet. The FBG Duck civil lawsuit is reportedly still moving through the legal system in ways that will allegedly force new public statements from people on both sides. Statements that will allegedly reignite everything you just watched play out in the Mama Duck and Kayla B exchange, except in a courtroom context where the stakes are allegedly financial and permanent rather than just social. And allegedly, according to sources close to Vaughn's family's situation, Kayla B's public positioning in relation to the lawsuit and in relation to NBA YoungBoy's alleged communications with her is reportedly creating a tension within certain circles that is allegedly going to surface publicly in ways that nobody on either side is currently prepared for. We are watching both of those developments very closely. And when they break, you will hear about it here first. But only if you are subscribed and that notification is turned on right now. Here is why your engagement on this specific video matters, beyond just the numbers. This story involves real people, real grief, and a real community whose pain is allegedly being processed in public in ways that serve platforms more than people. Every like, every comment, every share tells the algorithm that this story deserves serious, complete coverage. Not just the clip version, not just the viral moment, but the full picture. You being here matters. Now give us one answer in the comments right now. No right answer exists, which is exactly why we need you to weigh in. Was Mama Duck describing watching Kayla B get stomped an act of calculated disrespect? Or was she just being honest about something she witnessed and had no obligation to stop? We will see you when the next chapter drops. And allegedly, we already know what it is.